It's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to get help.
My favorite R&B artist is R. Kelly. Like,
oh God.
like
Here we go.
Like it is R. Kelly.
The child don't care about material things. Mm-hmm. The child wants you to be there for them and to be their friend.
The Dark Knight is overrated.
Horribly overrated.
Welcome back, friends, squirrel friends, and homies who just want to kick it with me. To my right, I have my co-host Louis P, aka the next Tyler Perry. But you should get that when I say that.
I don't say nothing.
Whatever, he my boss. But we are going to get into a new topic today, and I feel like this topic could go left or right depending on how this group may take it. I mean, like, we are definitely entering into some crazy times. We have high rent, weird society, everything just feels really, really sensitive these days. And on top of it all, I guess we have to sprinkle in a little bit of this new cancel culture. So has that been for good or for bad? Like, how did we get here with this type of movement per se? It's like, I remember the origin was all for good, inclusivity, rights for all, things like that. But now I just feel like it took a weird turn where even like some people in the cancel culture don't agree with people in the cancel culture.
Well, for me, with to quote a great man, Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. So when you
dude on the bright spots.
No. See, when you have the power to quote unquote cancel someone, or you have the power to accuse someone of doing things, you have a duty to use that power for good. You know what I'm saying? Because there are people out there that are scummy people that deserve to be punished for that. So, like, if you take the Me Too movement, if a man rapes a woman and this woman speaks out about this man,
we gotta say apes or something.
If a man does things
that
he shouldn't do, that he wasn't given consent, there was no consent there, this woman should have the right to speak out, and we should naturally believe them, because why would you lie about something like that?
Exactly.
The problem is, now there's an incentive to lie about that. Because now there's monetization in the story. Now there is financial compensation for the story. So now you can point to someone and say something about them, tell your story and get paid for it. Or if they wield enough power, if they wield enough if they have enough financial backing or stability, and you choose to say, well, if we settle out of court, I can get a payoff from this. Also, they don't soil their name, because that's one of the things that is very important in a lot of industries is your name. All you have is your name. So if your name is soiled, even if it's not something you did, an accusation can destroy your career.
Even if it wasn't.
Even if it's not true. Because you will always be guilty in the court of public opinion to a large sector of people.
It's that smudge you just can't wipe, or that crack on the marble.
Exactly, and that's going to follow you. So a lot of people don't want that on their resume. So even if they're not guilty of someone, they'd be willing to kind of like pay them off so it goes away. And a lot of people understand that that's a quick come up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
just kind of like the girl who claimed Chris Brown did something, did the thing. The algorithm won't let us say the word. But then it came out that she lied, because he had the recording on his phone. But it's like people like that will be the smudge on even the Me Too movement.
And why would Chris Brown be a target? Because Chris
Chris
Brown
Brown
has a
already has the
history of
history.
something that would make people believe the story.
Right.
So it's an easy sell to have someone who has a past history of something that you're accusing them of, as opposed to someone who's like been squeaky clean that makes people say, wait a minute, this person never did anything like this. That doesn't mean they're not capable of that. Anyone is capable of something they haven't already done.
Right.
But it's the benefit of the doubt that you lose when you have something like that on your resume.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to always assume the worst when you've done the worst. Even if you try to put that behind you, because some people make mistakes, some people make bad choices, they do their time, they do their, their service, and then they try to put that behind them and move on in life and be a better person. But
And
that's
is it
always
possible?
gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm about to ask. Is it possible to put certain things behind you though? Do we we're always, like you said, a matter of public opinion. You're always going to have that smudge, but depending on the situation, is it possible for a person to even put that behind them?
Of course.
Because if you think about it, because I was going to ask, so what is some examples of, you mentioned the Me Too movement, of good, and what's an example of a bad cancel culture situation?
A good cancel culture is that of like a Harvey Weinstein. You know what I'm saying? To where someone that holds a lot of power in an industry gets put away, and you have so many people that have been held down or have been under their thumb that now at least have this sense of like nothing that has already happened can be taken back, but at least have the sense of some justice will serve for some wrongdoing.
Right.
A good cancel culture in a lot of people's eyes can be R. Kelly, to where you have, again, someone that
Done some things.
exactly, and a lot of those people that had been victimized by this person have a sense of, finally, we got justice for
Right.
us. To me, bad cancel culture, in my opinion, is somebody that gets this type of treatment when it's not just, or when it's, like, I don't believe you should be canceled for your opinion. Even if I disagree with your opinion.
Yeah, like whatever happened to that word? Disagree. Like what's wrong with that?
See, and that's the
Agree
thing.
to disagree.
In this era,
if it's not heinous or racial or homophobic or things like that, what's wrong with just a simple or a bad if it's a bad joke or something like that? Why we just can't disagree?
well, see,
That's what I don't get. Oh, but yeah.
see, getting into that what you said, again, it's a slippery slope when it comes to disagreeing, because there's always going to be two sides to what the right answer is when it comes to certain topics for certain
Right.
people. You just said a word that is very big on that, homophobic. In my opinion, the word homophobic has been used very wrong by a lot of people.
Ooh.
Phobic means afraid. Like if you have a phobia of something, that means you're scared.
Right.
Whereas when it comes to homophobia,
Right.
a lot of these people that get called homophobic are not afraid. They just don't agree with your lifestyle. Just because someone disagrees with your lifestyle doesn't mean they fear it, doesn't mean they hate it. I mean, they hate you. You know what I'm saying? Like someone can be.
So you're saying just somebody who disagrees with it, but that doesn't mean they don't like you as a person.
I'm saying that like if somebody opts to sleep with the same sex, you can have a person that could say, okay, I like you as a person. I think you're a cool individual. I do not agree with your lifestyle. And that's how they feel. That doesn't mean they hate you, they're homophobic, they're hated. No, they just don't agree with your lifestyle. And that's they're entitled to have that opinion. It's their opinion. It's how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
as long as they're not being like, oh, let's
they're
ban
not
you.
going out
Let's
of their
ban
way
you.
to be
Let's
hateful.
this, that. They just disagree.
Yeah, so I mean, they're not going out of their way to call you names or be hateful or say you should get beat up for how you are.
Overall, they're
None of that.
pleasant people.
They're literally just saying, I just don't agree with your lifestyle. And I feel like in this era, acceptance, the word acceptance is been changed to like, no, accepting isn't good enough. If you don't fully embrace this, then you're homophobic. If you don't fully embrace this, then you're anti this or you're anti that. When that's not the case, you can't force anyone to embrace something they don't embrace
Right.
in terms of what they want with their life. again, they can accept that you like it. They can accept that it's your thing, but it'll never be for them. And that is fine. That's what we call agreeing to disagree. Because guess what? In terms of that, if you have someone that chooses to sleep with whoever they want to sleep with, that's their business. You know what I'm saying? The only reason that some other person may know is because you opted to tell them. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of people, they just live their lives in peace and just want to go about their day. Whether they're straight, whether they're, whether they prefer, whatever they prefer. It's your prerogative. It's your right as a human being to live how you live your life the way you want to live it. And in my opinion, I don't feel you should be judged for it as long as you're not hurting no one, or I'm gonna just speak for me. Me personally, I have been around people that are, let's say, religious, right? And I've been around people that are atheists.
Right.
And the stigma
is another one.
Atheist people are like this, and religious people, that's the way. I've been around the most judgmental, hateful religious people that you could think of. And the coolest atheists that you could think of.
Right.
And the thing about it is when you call someone out for what they believe and they don't have a defense for it, they get defensive and they get like they go on they kind of like attack. You know what I'm saying? So if you call, like I've been called out because I have tattoos.
Right.
So I've been called out by someone saying that's a sin. You have to, and I'll ask, listen, if you're gonna talk about that being a sin, and I'll go down the list of a lot of things that are sins. And when they hear, because that's another thing that people use against people that are into a certain lifestyle when it comes to the homophobic discussions. When people will use that's not the way the Bible has it written. That's not the way God intended. In the Bible, that's a sin. There are a lot of things that are sins that we don't follow.
No.
Now, if you want to be a Bible thumper, you don't get to pick and choose what sin you want to follow.
Right.
No. If you want to live righteous, then live righteous. Don't be that's a sin, so you're bad. And then when you get called out for having sex out of wedlock, sex before marriage, and all of this other stuff, I'm human, so no.
You can't pick one.
You don't pick and choose.
You can't pick one. You can't pick and choose.
Exactly.
No.
And here's the facts. We all sin. None of us are perfect.
No.
So who are we to judge anyone?
That's why you can't cast that stone.
Exactly. So for me, again, as long as you're not...
My stone will go from here to here. It's not even going to go past my leg.
For me, as long as you're not hateful or hurtful to me, I don't have a problem with you. I could care less about what your personal preferences, your personal decisions are, who your I don't care.
So you're saying the example of a bad cancel culture is when it's an agree to disagree situation, all of a sudden a person is now labeled 1,000 things that they shouldn't have been labeled because it's not like they were a hateful person to begin with.
Exactly, because then it snowballs into something that it was never intended to be or didn't start out.
And then it turns into a thing where people really don't read and they're just jumping on this bandwagon. So to build onto that, I would say a good example of cancel culture, we're both black people, anything that is an injustice to us, and when people mobilize against it to make it a good positive change, I'm all here for it. Of course, that's a good idea of, cancel that racist, like with the Starbucks situation. When those kids got called cops on in the Starbucks and people band together to make sure that to the point Starbucks closed down to do a whole revamp of the training of customer service, I'm for that. Bad cancel culture example, I would say, I was not a fan of what happened with Kevin Hart. I just wasn't a fan of it, especially when we all know Kevin Hart is a comedian, he's a jokester, and I think the jokes that he was telling on the Twitter, what was that, 2011, 2010? Obviously, I'm a straight woman, so I don't know the effects of how that may have hurt other people, but I really genuinely think he was just joking. It was a joke. It was a 2011 type of joke. That was something that plenty of people in the community, black community, it's just jokes. Like, hey, that's gay. But wait.
Okay.
So it's like, wait, that's gay. I just don't feel to the point where, and watching his documentary, it was always his dream to one day host the Oscars. He worked so hard for that, and sold out. He's one of the most, I would say, accomplished comedians. Can't take that from Kevin Hart, whether you like his comedy or not. He's a very accomplished comedian. He has great movies. I love his movies. Stand up. You can't even match the sales of his stand up. If any other black person, it probably would have been the fourth or the third black person ever host the Oscars. And he was going to have that moment, to have it kind of ripped away from a tweet or a joke. I didn't feel like that was the good use of anybody's time. You know what I'm saying? And another example of cancel culture going bad. When are we going to let up on Carrie Hilson? Like, when are we going to let up on that girl? I don't understand how the minute she does anything, somebody's bringing up Beyonce. Somebody's saying she's washed up. And now the girl's about to be, I think, honored somewhere. She's getting an award, I forgot, for her contributions to music. I'm not all the way sure on it. But it's just the hate that child gets. I don't like that people became a gang, you know? And I would say something else. She one time tweeted something about the banning of Trump on Twitter. And I think that people miss the message because of this built up hate they just have for this girl. I just don't get it. People miss the message. I think her message was saying the banning of Trump, when we do have this freedom of speech, whatever, overall, I think she was just trying to say it's going to open up more doors. What's to say that now you can't get banned? You can't get banned. You can't get banned, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like the floodgates that hit that girl. I just was like, wow, what did she say? You know, so I would say those are like examples. When it becomes a mobby like that, those are not good uses for mobby for things that I don't believe was ill intent. I'm not on board with that aspect of cancel culture at all. So I don't know. Sorry, what was you about to say though?
No, I was going to say, that's why it's important to stand by what you say.
Right.
And it's important to always be real with how you are. A lot of these people, like if you take a Kevin Hart, there's an image to uphold. There's a standard to uphold. There's a corporate
But he wasn't corporate back then.
But there's my point. But you are now.
This was back when he was opening up Shaquille O'Neal comedy tours?
Here's what I'm saying. But being that you are now and you try to hold yourself to a certain standard of professionalism, and you try to hold yourself to a certain standard of perfection, there's always going to be
But who put that standard on him? Was it him or was it us?
It's the way that
I don't believe he did that.
What I'm saying is it's the way that you try to carry yourself, when you try to tiptoe around certain things to not offend, when you try to tiptoe around certain things that you don't want to speak of now that you would have spoken of back in the day, because now you have certain sponsors you don't want to offend, because now you're image conscious now. There's a certain standard, like I said, that you're trying to uphold that it's just impossible to live up to. So when there's one slip up, that whole image of your perfection is done. It's tarnished. As
but who
opposed
in
to
this world is that perfect?
Nobody is.
That's what I'm saying. Who is that perfect?
That's why I'm saying, like, when we try to be what we are not, we will always have mistakes, slip ups, things like that. And when that comes up against you. It's like, a friend of mine always uses this example. It's like someone like Jay-Z. Jay-Z has a certain standard. He holds himself up to this standard of cool, this standard of you don't really see him slipping. So when you get the incident like what happened to him in the elevator, it stands out more because you don't really see him in that type of situation. So it's like, whoa, like you looking crazy, right? You're not used to that. Because for years and years and years, it's been a standard of perfection. For years and years and years, for a lot of people...
But that incident in the elevator is also not that far-fetched. I mean, come on, it's a couple. People
But it's not so much. But we have not seen that.
For anything, it was about Beyonce, and it was a little smudge.
But why did the incident happen? Exactly.
Allegedly.
Exactly. That's my point.
Allegedly.
But for years and years and years, you tell us you got the baddest chick in the game. You tell us Beyonce, but then allegedly that's what happened. So it's like, okay, so how bad is she really? That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
You trying to uphold this perfect image. So when we find out you're not perfect, it's like, should we be surprised? No, because no one's perfect. Should we be surprised Will and Jada have their issues? No. But for years and years, you've been the standard of perfection for a lot of people's relationship goals. So when you take someone like Kanye West, and you see him out doing something, you're not surprised.
No.
Because you're used to him just being himself. When you see Rihanna visit barbershops and she's just smoking and chilling, it's not as big of a deal as if it was like Beyonce, because you don't see Beyonce like that. You don't see, when you see what's not the norm. We saw Chris Rock host the Grammy. Chris Rock has had a lot of quote unquote jokes that may be not so great to tell today.
But he's part of that era where I think sometimes they give, and that's crazy because it's like I feel some people rise above it, or they're in a category where they get a pass.
I feel like you rise above it because you
this.
just be you. You can be. You're always gonna have
Basically,
fans that support you. Cater to your fans that support you, and don't worry about what all these. Don't bend the knee to this audience that tries to cancel you because they're offended over something you said in 1992 or something that you. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't pay them no mind. You know what I'm saying? You're always gonna offend people whether you mean to or not. You're going out there, especially if you're a comedian. You tell jokes. Honestly speaking, get over it. It's a joke.
And that's what I was going to say. What happened to, basically whatever happened to just not giving something attention? All right, it's not for me. It's not for me. When you're corporate
and you got sponsors and you got all these people to try to not offend, that's when you're gonna pay attention to it because you feel the need to address it. The worst thing you can do to this mob is address them. The worst thing you can do is bend the knee to them because once you give an inch, they will take. If you ignore them, guess what? They'll get bored and be offended at something else someone else does. And they'll get over it.
I feel like these days, everybody these days is quick to judge before they even read articles. It's not even just, all right, I feel like most of the things I see people cancel crazy. If it's not about politics, it's mostly political. And would you lump in like racial and all of that with political?
No, it's two different things.
Well, political or racial, sexuality.
That.
And it's just, and some things, I feel like, did you really read what the person said? Or is this,
of course not.
Or did you just, and that's another bad side of cancel culture, like I said, when it's informed and when it's mobilized in a strategic way of what we would want these people to do, or whatever the case may be, it's effective and it's a beautiful thing. But when it is flip to the other side where everybody is just being heinous. It's, what are you trying to get out of this? Are you trying to make this person kill themselves? Like, what exactly are you trying to get? What is it? Like, I don't understand that aspect of it, and it almost comes off as a bunch of trolls just want to let off some steam.
Yeah, but it's also people that feel they have the power to have an effect on you with their words, their voice, or their their mob, their allegiance, whatever, because it has worked on others. So if you say something we don't like or do something we don't like, oh, now you're canceled, we're coming after you, da-da-da-da. I don't believe that someone should not be able to make a living because their opinion is different than yours about who they voted for.
And I was going to say that whatever happened to personal politics, because if I told you I know some black people who actually did vote for Trump, and it wasn't because, and it's like it almost came like it was like simultaneous. If you voted for Trump, you were a racist. But also some people actually looked at the politics of it all, and I guess his policies benefited some of the black people I knew who would make good money. They're well off. So some of his policies benefited them a little bit. So when did we get into a place where I guess Trump was Trump, but just in general, where do we get to a place where people can't have their own political views? Without being like, you don't vote my way, oh yeah, you're a terrible person. Why can't the two just be about this works for me, that works for you? Not, I'm voting for this person because I hate blacks. Like, how did we get here? Some people did not vote that way, whether it's Republican or whatever, because they're bigots or because they're racist. What happened? I'm just like, there was a time and place where sharing political views wasn't even a thing. You just went in that little booth, you clicked your box, nobody was none the wiser. When did we become so? Do you think we're becoming too open these days?
Well, this is the age of social media. We can leave that for a different topic for a
Yeah.
different day. But in the age of social media, you have access to information that you didn't have access to just 20 years ago. You can share information that really is nobody's business. You know what I'm saying? Like I always say, back when I was a kid and my grandmother used to go to the voting booths,
Mm-hmm.
used to always say, you don't tell people who you vote for.
No.
That's why it's a booth. You go in a booth with a curtain, you close the curtain, and you do your business, and you come out that curtain.
And you know how many
no one
people
needs to know.
lie?
But that's what
That's
I mean.
what
It's
they
no
lie.
one's business. It's no one's business. And in this era, I have seen why my grandmother was always like that. I never understood it as a kid because I was too young to even vote. But as an adult, now I can understand and I get it. Because again, I've seen friendships end based on who you vote for. I've seen a lot of things based upon just, or the news and news articles say that this person did this, or this is a bad person.
These days you can't even trust the news.
And again, but as I'm saying, like if you're not going to do your due diligence, if I hear, if someone says to me, Kenya says something about you, what she say? She said this, and this. Where's your proof? Do you have video of her saying this? Like, can you prove this to me?
Or
you know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. Or they hear, so a lot of people will go by Kenya said it. Oh, word F Kenya then. Da 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 da.
What
Why
happened
am I
to
doing
you
that?
doing your own research and seeing if this person actually said these things,
That's what I'm
or
saying.
did these things, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. I will do my due diligence on something if I'm curious about it and figure out where the source is and figure out where this was actually done or said, and then formulate my opinions based upon the research that I do, not based upon someone saying, or I heard this about this person.
But also, why do you care? You get what I'm saying? Some things don't need that. I have my own life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have my own life. I have my own bills. I gotta grocery shop. I gotta be an adult day by day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, what if I just want to put the blinders on and I don't care? Well, what happened to just living your life? My thing is that what happened to that part? What happened to just living your life and not having to have an opinion on everything? Don't you think you spiral if you always have an opinion on everything that happens in this world? Or, oh, this doesn't have this in it on this TV show. This doesn't have this. This person said this. I'm weird. I'm a weird person. When it comes to TV shows or comedy, I may be a black woman. I like a little bit of racism in my comedy. I'm not gonna lie. I listen to some, even white comedians, who tell some black jokes. This should be funny. And like, why would I want to cancel them? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's in good taste and good humor and good spirits, I don't care. What happened to just not taking things so serious and just laughing it off like water?
What
happened to this?
Or here's a crazy concept. If I see, let's say comedy for instance, I've listened to comedians that tell religious jokes, racist jokes, all of this. If something offends me to the degree that it is hurtful, I won't watch it. How about that? Just don't watch it. Ignore it. Ignore it.
Right. What happened to that? Like, what happened?
It's not for you then. That's how I am. Not to say it's anything like that offends me, because there's nothing I've ever watched on TV that's like, oh, this offends me. I feel the need to.
You know how many women jokes I have seen male
Mm-hmm.
comedians make on a daily basis about my uterus, about periods, about, oh, we get menopausal, all of this stuff that should be more than offensive. Even about Dave Chappelle, one of my favorite jokes about him was when he said the woman, just because I'm dressed this way doesn't mean that I am a whore. But he's like, and one day I'm going to wear a cop uniform and the woman's going to come to me, they stole my bag just because I'm dressed this way. Doesn't mean, he just made a joke about rape and I just laughed, you know, because if it's done in good taste or, you know, I know who I'm watching. You know what I'm saying? I know who I'm watching, and I know why I'm there. It's because sometimes you want to laugh at yourself. You want to laugh at some things that could go bad, because life is tough. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to make humor out of things just to get through it. And the same thing with TV shows, kind of going back to your point about being corporate-y. You allow these people to take away the essence that made your show great. One of the shows I love is Sex and the City. I like watching these rich city white chicks be rich city. I don't expect these girls to be woke. That's why I'm watching you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not expecting them to have black friends. I'm not expecting them to, you know, talk about things other than the bubble that they grew up in. These are Upper East Side white women. keep them Upper East Side white women. Because now I'm hearing the new show, I didn't watch it yet, on HBO, got terrible reviews because of them trying to attempt to be these woke situations. And it's like, because that wasn't your essence. That wasn't what your show was. That wasn't that. You guys supposed to be, I don't care, like some things don't need to be all inclusive. That's what I'm saying. Some things
So
don't
you're
need
saying
to have
they shouldn't bend the knee to
No.
that mob and do you.
No.
Do what you do.
Because now it just looked like from one of the reviews I read, once again, I will do my due diligence. I'm eventually going to watch it, but I kind of don't want to watch it because, like I said, this is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It's up there. It's up there. I love Sex and the City. Everybody knows who knows me knows I watch it every year. Over. In the wintertime. I watch all the seasons. If I watch that show and it's not good, it's going to break my heart. It's just going to break my heart. But the reviews I'm seeing is like, they have these black friends and they treat them like, you know, accessories or something like that. Yeah, that's because they didn't have black friends. These women didn't have black friends. These women rolled in the circles that they rolled in. That's why I watch. I watch for the white women to be in vogue. I watch them to be, you know, a little out of touch. They made some jokes back in the day that sure could have been offensive. I don't care. I know what I'm watching. You know what I'm saying? If I wanted to watch something different, that's what Girlfriends was. That's what Living Single was. I'm watching sedity white women because I want them to be sedity white women. Mm-hmm. But like I'm saying, it kind of goes back to, you know, things about movies and things like that. It's not that, you know, it's not that we want you guys to just insert people here, just make it good. But because it wasn't your original essence, it's not going to be good.
Enough said.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. Guys know, sometimes with these type of conversations, they can keep going on and on and on. Please, 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 write in the comment section whatever you want to contribute to this conversation or any other topics you want us to touch. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, hit all of the buttons. And until next time, peace.